Hello, fellow law and trial enthusiasts. It's one of my passions I've been very excited about. And although I do not have, just for transparency's sake, I do not have any legal certifications or official background myself, I do read and watch a lot of court documents and court cases and trials. I'm very much a law nerd. I'm very enthusiastic and passionate about it. And I don't think that it's dismissive or should be dismissed just because my passion is not my profession. You know what I mean? So if you don't trust me, I can't do anything about that. I will link all of my sources below and note those sources as we get to them. But in the meantime, let's talk about this Diddy drama. So Sean Combs, also known as P. Diddy, is a music mogul. He has the Bad Boy record label, which is massive in the music industry. He is a well-known rapper and performer, and he has a lot of money, power, and connections, and supposedly he's been using those money, power, and possessions and stuff to just be misbehaved in the legal world and in the moral world. This really all sparked off when his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in 2023 sued the rapper for having sex trafficked her, DV'd, SA'd, and just generally abused her including forced drug use on her part and willing drug use on his part. And she sued him. His lawyers and him vehemently denied these accusations and allegations, saying that Cassie was just looking for a cash grab. Their relationship began when she was only 19 and Diddy was already 37. So that's already going to leave a bad taste in some people's mouths. But I digress. Then we have the infamous Intercontinental Hotel security footage that was released by CNN, which I will link that below if you really want to see a woman getting brutalized by P. Diddy. But there is a mirror in the back of the hallway. It's very common to make rooms and spaces look bigger, where you can see his face and see his face coming towards the camera. The way Cassie tells it, she was trying to escape his hotel room while he was asleep. He woke up before she succeeded, and she was about to get on the elevator. And in the video, you see her pulled back, slammed to the ground, where Diddy continued to brutalize her with kicking, stomping, hitting, and dragging her, trying to drag her back to the hotel room. So then shortly after that happened, P. Diddy released a very flimsy, in most people's views, apology video, and he settled with Cassie. Well, since then, there has been Attorney Busby. Attorney Busby is a prosecutor who says that he has found multiple witnesses, plaintiffs, to go against Diddy, who were victimized by him as well for all the same things. So now he has a slew of charges and multiple court cases kind of overlapping each other. And that includes racketeering, intimidation, witness intimidation, SAR, trafficking of drugs and people, domestic V, and extortion. Just pretty much everything under the sun this man has. His lawyers have been very adamant that Cassie should not be allowed to testify or be a witness in the case because that violates his double jeopardy. The prosecution, Mr. Busby, has said, oh, no, you're not allowed to charge him for the assault against Cassie again. But she's allowed to come into court to testify as a character witness against Diddy. That's perfectly legal. So we have over 125 witnesses, I keep saying witnesses, plaintiffs with Busby, who have said that they are credible, that they have evidence, reliability coming forth. There has been a lot of ongoing things about when things happen, if somebody has to become a witness versus a plaintiff just because of statute of limitations. But there are also at least two of these people. There are a few more, but there are two definitive people who their claims, a male and a female, that their assaults took place when they were 17 years old, thus they were minors. Most of the people, which I will list a Forbes, they broke down the legal document into a much more digestible set of paragraphs for each plaintiff, and they have a short paragraph synopsis of what happened to each of those people and when those allegations were brought forth legally. And the most common thing is that there's a lot of young people. Most of them are under the age of 21, or they're in their early 20s when it happened. A lot of these things are happening at events and premieres and parties of Diddy's. And also there are a lot of, the two most common things are Diddy just straight up being violent and aggressive and making death threats against people. One woman specifically said that he slammed her head at a party in 1995, I believe it was. He slammed her head against a wall, and then he proceeded to R-word her. And then afterwards, he said that if she told anybody, she would disappear. Other people have similar thoughts, have similar sentiments about him. There's also allegations of people being handed drinks, not only by Diddy himself personally, but also his security and other staff members at his party, his inner circle, if you will. And when they would take the drinks, mostly alcoholic, including to people who were under the age of 21, and they would feel dizzy or paralyzed shortly after, and all of them say that they were victims of either Diddy himself or his staff, including his security. That's important for later, performing or forcing unwanted SA acts on them. So we have 120 of them with a lot of overlapping stories, and a lot of them have been going by John and Jane Doe. The defense attorneys for Diddy say that they should have to come forward because Diddy has a right to face his accusers, and keeping their identities hidden is just further evidence that these are just random people who couldn't make it in the industry for one reason or another, who are looking for a cash grab after Cassie's lawsuit settled. And meanwhile, everyone else is going, did you not see that video? That really bad video that he said those things didn't happen, and then here we are with the video? It just doesn't look good to me. But continuing on, the prosecution has said that Diddy has a lot of money, power, and connections, and he has been misusing those power, connections, and money to do very terrible things to multitudes of people. And that he has caused fear. He has made death threats against people and their families. He has been alleged and accused of witness tampering and intimidation before, that he said if the plaintiffs reveal their identities, that he being Diddy, will just go after them personally out of vengeance, anger, etc. That he has not been shown to be a safe and stable person, he being Diddy. And Attorney Busby's like, no, we shouldn't have to identify them. Although there was one woman whose R-word case in the state and jurisdiction she was in, that judge did say that when closer to more close court proceedings, she would have to reveal her identity for her case to be moved forward. And she agreed to do it. And I think that that says a lot personally. This is my opinion on this, that if somebody's not going, oh no, I don't want my name associated with that, because, you know, those situations are scary and terrifying. People are scared to come forward anyway. So she's still willing to, like, yeah, I'll put my name up there and have my identity revealed to help get him put behind bars. Absolutely. I think that says a lot. Busby has said that it's also not a threat just to the plaintiffs, but also to their families. There's additional drama with Busby, though, because Attorney Busby, the defense has claimed, has been trying to extort and witness intimidate celebrities, some higher-end celebrities, saying that, oh, he goes up to them and goes, if you don't want to be exposed for being associated with P. Diddy, then you need to cough up the cash, essentially. And on the other end of that spectrum, Busby has argued, no, I have reached out to associated celebrities and told them that rather than charging them in addition to Diddy under some of these circumstances, that we can settle out of court without having to drag them down that line too. Because, hey, you were found to be doing stuff you really shouldn't have been. If you don't want to have to have your brand and reputation dragged down the drain, it's better for you to settle out of court with my plaintiff who has the problem, or these particular plaintiffs. And that's perfectly legal. That going through the proceedings is very different than extorting, saying you'll be exposed unless you cough up the cash, or I need you to settle with my plaintiff, otherwise you're going to have to go through these proceedings. Continuing on with witness intimidation that is supposedly happening with P. Diddy, there was, during a cell search after he was arrested last year in December of 2023, Diddy's stuff was searched and pictures and photos were taken and given to the prosecution. And some of it has lists of potential identifying people who are plaintiffs and some other information lists of people. And the defense said that the prosecution willfully and knowingly violated his rights to attorney-client privilege, because there was in the stuff that was recovered, there was a folder with several legal pads that were stacked on top of each other, and all of them said the word legal on the top, being an obvious identifier that these things were legal proceedings and covered by attorney-client privilege. And the new judge who got transferred the case, we're going to call him Judge S because I will put his name here, but it's very hard for me to pronounce. I don't know the correct pronunciation, so we're just going to refer to him as Judge S. He was not pleased with the prosecution, and upon learning this in the documentation, in that motion, he said, destroy everything you got to the prosecutors. He was like, you don't get to do that. You can't violate defendants' rights like that. Destroy what you have. Any data you gleaned from that needs to be removed as well. Because basically it would be fruit from the poisonous tree, which is what it's called if you illegally obtain evidence and try to present it in court. None of the stuff associated with that leading up to the illegal search or obtaining of evidence can be used in court, because it was wrongly obtained to begin with. And he was like, get rid of it, destroy it, remove everything you wrote and associated from those things. Well, the prosecution came forth and said, Your Honor, when we saw these things, they didn't have legal written on them. And we don't trust that these things were not written until afterwards. And the prosecution furthered this by saying that if you read the initial motion back in December, there was no mention from the defense about the words legal being written on any of these items, identifying them clearly as client attorney privileged things. So the judge was not pleased, and Judge S took it into chambers, checked out the photos, and then comes back on November 19th and says to the defense attorney, you need to explain yourself. That was the original motion for that was docket 75, and the November 19th docket was 72-1, if you wanted to get to that quickly. And when the pictures were looked at, there was not the word legal written on them at the time. So the stuff that the prosecution had would not, if they had started looking through it and went, oh wait, this seems like it's stuff he was talking about with his attorney, this seems like strategy, we need to get rid of that. That was not brought up previously, and it didn't seem to be accurate. If there's one thing you do not want to do, it's straight up lied to the court about violation of defendants' rights. It's not going to bode well for you. Anytime the court says you need to explain yourself, it doesn't bode well for that party. We're all caught up with the stuff that was happening before, and now we're in the now. The prosecution The defense has also once again put forth that they think that P. Diddy should be released on bail in house arrest rather than in jail in custody. They say that it's harder for them to make their case with their client because he's locked up. There's a lot of opportunity, I will say, for attorneys to get to talk with their arrested clients. And they're like, it's just too hard to do just because of it. It will be more restrictive for him if he's on house arrest and out of custody. Sure. And it will make it easier for them to have access to him to be able to make their case and strategize, etc. The prosecution has said, do not let this man out of jail. He was already denied jail by 2 previous judges. And those same things are still a problem, that P. Diddy, while in custody, cannot behave himself. He has been in multiple violations of not following jail rules, like using unauthorized messaging apps to try to talk to witnesses and to other people. He has also been using third parties, such as his sibling, using the jail attorney client number. Jail calls are recorded, but there is a line that clients of attorneys can use to talk to each other that is private. And it has been alleged that he has been using that not to call his attorneys, but to try to talk to other third parties without the line being recorded, or that he calls a number A, but then person who has number A has cell phone B so that Diddy can talk to another person without the jail being able to identify them. And that there is witness intimidation and tampering happening while he's in custody. And it's not the first time he's done that. He also has several other jail rule violations that have been happening while he's been in custody that have been recorded or reported to Judge S. And they're like, and the prosecution is going, he can't do and follow rules when he's in jail, when he's under that level of security. There's no way he's going to be trustworthy out of custody. And they also argued on the defense of their clients that the plaintiffs do not feel safe, and some of them might even back out. Other witnesses might back out just out of fear of Diddy being released. And again, he poses a threat now to witnesses and their families, and plaintiffs and their families, while he is locked up. Well, Judge S was trying to kind of play with this a little bit and get a more understanding. He asked the defense, well, where would he stay? And initially, the defense was like, oh, we think he'd be fine to stay in his house in Florida that has a boat dock because he lives off or near the Gulf. And the judge went, that's not going to work. Those were his exact words. That's not going to work. That's not happening. So then they said, well, he has a house in Manhattan in New York City that he can stay in. And the judge was like, okay, he'd be under 24/7 security. All right, well, who's going to provide this 24/7 security? The defense suggests his security team that he already has. Yeah, the ones who are also accused and in these SA shenanigans and allegations, yeah, those ones that are under Diddy's payroll, those are the people we're going to trust to make sure that he doesn't leave his house and doesn't leave the state. And that he's not a flight risk or going to be a harm to the community and the people in it. There was a hearing about that on last Friday. Today is November 29th. And there was a hearing last Friday about all of that. And just a couple days ago, it was officially released that Judge S denied bail for the 3rd time against Diddy, saying that the prosecution brought the evidence that he is not safe to the community, that he is a flight risk, and that he is a risk to the general investigations and ongoing things. It was a full 5-page order if you want to check that out. The prosecutors just simply said that he couldn't be trusted on bail because he can't be trusted in jail. It's really what it comes down to. So where we are right now is that Busby still has an investigation going on about whether or not he's doing witness tampering and extortion. There's a continued, there's the denial of bail again. That's the most recent update. And Diddy's trial is set to go forth. His criminal trial is set to go forth in May of 2025, May 5th. We will see if that actually proceeds. I'm not confident in just the number of charges and the number of plaintiffs, and not to mention there's multiple other underlying charges with the Jones records, and there are, I believe, 30 plus civil lawsuits that he's also undergoing. I don't think that we're going to see a Diddy trial in May. I don't know if we're going to see a Diddy trial in 2025, but for right now, that is what is set. He has been denied bail. He's not been denied jail. He's in jail. He's been denied bail, and the defense continues to say that he hasn't done anything wrong. They're zealous advocates. We have to give them that. They might not fit our moral compass. It might leave a bad taste in some people's mouths, but his defense attorneys are zealous advocates for him, which is what you want your defense attorneys to be. You want them to have your back and try to do their best for you. Because the last thing that you want is for lousy attorney work or for due diligence of due process and defendant right violations to be the reason why some of these alleged victims don't get justice. So we'll see where it goes from there. Thank you so much for joining me on this little Diddy drama update, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!